Join us for our national anthem. Thank you, everyone. To commence this auspicious inaugural ceremony, we now invite the blessings of the Almighty through recitations from the Holy Scripture, reflecting the spirit of harmony, inclusiveness, and shared values. Now, recitation from the Holy Quran. Maulana Qari Abdul Mutin, Imam Beyond Foundation, will recite from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Recite in the name of your Lord who created man out of a clot of congealed blood. Recite, and your Lord is the most generous. He who taught by the pen, he taught man that which he knew not. The first verses of Surah Alaq. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, recitation from the Holy Gita. Mr. Oshin Chaudhary, Gita leader, Bangladesh People on PTV, will recite from the Holy Gita.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ashtadashadhyayu Mokshayogo Jnanam Jayam Parigyeta Tivildo Karmachodana Karam Karma Katteti Trivida Karma Sangroho. Knowledge, the knowledgeable, and the knower, from the threefold impulse to action. The instrument, the object, and the agent from the threefold basis to action. Om Sabbe Bhavantu Sukhina Sabbe Santu Niramaya Sabbe Baddhanin Pashyantu Ma Kachit Dukkhabhago Bhavet. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti.
Now, recitation from the Holy Tripitaka. Venerable Buddhananda Mahathir, Senior Vice President, Bangladesh Buddhist Federation, and Tripitaka Reader BTV will recite from the Holy Tripitaka.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa buddhang saranang gacchami dhammang saranang gacchami sanghang saranang gacchami. Lord Buddha said in the Mahamangala Sutta, Bahu satchancha sippancha binayocha susikito Subhachita chaya bacha etang mangalamuttamang. To have mass learning, to be skilled in crafts, to be well trained in moral conduct, well educated, and to have good speech that is well spoken. This is the highest blessing. Sabbe satta sukhitaha bhavantu. May all living beings in the world be happy. Thank you.
Now, recitation from the Holy Bible. Reverend Deepchand Shwarkar David, pastor of Bangla Baptist Church, will recite from the Holy Bible.
I am reading from Holy Bible, James chapter 1, verses 5 to 6. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all, without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. Amen. God bless you all.
Thank you very much for those inspiring recitations. Ladies and gentlemen, now we present an audiovisual on Search 2026, role of UGC and HEAT project in higher education of Bangladesh.
Higher education is evolving beyond borders, and collaboration is the key. After successful milestones in Sri Lanka and Pakistan, the South Asia Regional Cooperation in Higher Education Search now arrives in Bangladesh. As we begin a new year with renewed spirit, Search brings together policymakers, academics, researchers, and leaders to expand academic mobility, strengthen partnerships, and inspire joint research, building a more connected future for South Asia. Across Bangladesh, our universities stand at a turning point. In an era of rapid technological progress and expanding global opportunity, the Higher Education Acceleration and Transformation Project HEAT stands as our national flagship response. Implemented by the University Grants Commission with support from the Government of Bangladesh and the World Bank, HEAT is modernizing institutions, empowering teachers, and aligning research with the needs of the 21st century job market. HEAT is translating vision into action. We are investing over BDT 4,017 crore to transform universities, training more than 5,000 faculty members each year, and building a 50 Gbps high-speed digital network to power innovation. And by preparing over 1,000 women for leadership roles, we are ensuring that progress is inclusive and sustainable. Our mission is guided by excellence and shaped by responsibility. Together, we must protect peace, discipline, and academic integrity across our campuses so learning can flourish. HEAT is more than a project. It is a commitment to the next generation. Launched in 2023, HEAT follows a clear roadmap, and as we look toward 2028, it continues to shape the future of higher education in Bangladesh. By advancing the shared objectives of Search regional collaboration, innovation, AI integration, and industry-academia partnerships, we are creating stronger universities and stronger societies. With the steadfast support of the UGC and the World Bank, we move forward with confidence toward a future where our vision for excellence becomes reality. Together, we are building a smarter, stronger, and more resilient South Asia and a visionary Bangladesh for generations to come.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to finally welcome our distinguished guests and set the tone of the conference, we are honored to invite Professor Mohammad Tanzimuddin Khan, PhD, Member, University Grants Commission of Bangladesh and in charge of the HEAT project, to deliver the welcome address.
Honorable Chief Advisor, Chief Guest of today's program, Nobel Laureate Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus, Honorable Education Advisor and Special Guest, Professor Dr. Chaudhry Rafiqul Abrar, Honorable Chairman of the UGC of Bangladesh and Chair of the inaugural session, respected guests of honor, Excellencies, distinguished policymakers, Vice Chancellors, academics, development partners, esteemed local and overseas guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. It is my great honor and privilege to warmly welcome each of you on behalf of the University Grants Commission of Bangladesh to this important regional conference on higher education. Let me begin with a hypothetical scenario that is very common in South Asia. Consider Shushila, a young student from a small village in Nepal. Despite facing poverty, she secured admission to a public university for higher education. Now living away from home in a residential hall, she has become her family's hope, only hope, the hope that she will secure a job upon graduation. And the education can transform not only her life, but also her community. Across South Asia, including Bangladesh, thousands of students face similar challenges and share the same hopes. The presence of our esteemed Chief Advisor and leaders from the education sector highlights our shared urgency and collective responsibility to transform the lives of these young generations through higher education. The higher education system in South Asia is expansive, evolving, shaped by demographic growth, economic transformation, and technological advancement. Currently, more than 42 million young people are enrolled in tertiary education across the region, resulting in a gross enrollment ratio of about 26%. There is significant variation among countries. The Maldives has a ratio of approximately 31%, India around 29%, Bangladesh about 23%, and Sri Lanka close to 22%. This represents a remarkable advancement in many ways. Despite some progress, our region still lags behind global standard in participation, equity, and educational quality, with low-income youth being 4 times less likely to access higher education than their wealthier peers. Additionally, women's participation in several countries remains low, indicating ongoing barriers to achieving inclusive progress. Employability remains a significant concern throughout the region. According to a report, the employability rate for graduates in India has risen to 56.3%. While this is a positive development, it also suggests that nearly half of the graduates do not fully align with the job market's demands. This issue is similarly evident in other South Asian economies. Once again, technological advancement bring both opportunities and challenges. Artificial intelligence and digital learning tools are transforming teaching methods and shaping employers' expectations. However, in lower income areas, only 1 out of 4 institutions currently has the budget to implement AI fully, highlighting the urgent need for policy changes to address digital infrastructure gaps. Despite these challenges, South Asia's influence on global education is growing. The region is one of the fastest growing source of internationally mobile students. According to Navitas Australia, the region represents 15% of the global share of international students. It suggests that we possess talents and the potential for more robust collaborative frameworks in international education. Our progress remains limited by the absence of a sustainable regional mechanism for systematic knowledge sharing, policy dialogue, and cooperative action. This conference indeed aligns with key regional and global priorities, including Sustainable Development Goal 4, which relates to quality education, and Bangladesh's Higher Education Acceleration and Transformation, in other words, HEAT project, supported by the government and the World Bank. Above all, the primary objective of the conference is to establish a unified pathway for higher education in South Asia, addressing the mutual distrust, division, and negative perception that exist within the region's political landscape. This conference is not a platform for discussion. It is a space for building joint commitments, establishing shared standards, forming operational partnerships that will lead to tangible progress. Your active engagement in the conference for the next 2-3 days and expertise are crucial for establishing a shared regional vision, one that encompasses every learner, equips graduates with skills for the future, and enhances South Asia's role in global knowledge and prosperity. In closing, I would like to extend my gratitude to all the distinguished participants, speakers, organizers, and partners. Once again, I warmly welcome you all and look forward to our collective success. Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience hearing.
Thank you, Professor Khan, for your insightful and warm welcome. We are privileged to have with us a key development partner whose support has been instrumental in Bangladesh's higher education transformation. May I invite Mr. Jen Pesme, Division Director for Bangladesh and Bhutan, the World Bank, to deliver his remarks as guest of honor.
Your Excellency, Professor Mohamed Yunus, Chief Advisor, Professor Abrar, Honorable Education Advisor, Professor Faiz, Honorable Chairman of University Grants Commission, and honorable guests, good morning and salam alaikum. On behalf of the World Bank Group, I would like to welcome you and express our sincere appreciation to each of you for coming together to discuss the future of higher education in South Asia, and in particular in Bangladesh. Around the world, young people aspire to the ability to shape their own future, but challenges are daunting. In the next decade, 1.2 billion young people in emerging and developing economies will enter the workforce. South Asia alone has 350 million young people aged between 15 and 24, the largest youth population in the world. Over the past 15 years, 16 million adolescents in South Asia entered the labor market, but only 10 million jobs were created. In Bangladesh itself, 700,000 youth graduate annually, but the formal economy generates only 3,000 jobs. Many economies cannot keep up with the growing labor supply. In that context, human capital, health, skills, and knowledge that people build over their lives drives productivity, jobs, and economic growth. Disparities in human capital explain 2/3 of the income gap between rich and poor countries, showing the urgency of investing now. They also reveal the vast untapped potential of our region's workforce. Tertiary education and research institutions can help close those gaps by doing 3 things well. First, educating students with relevant skills. Second, generating knowledge through research. And third, connecting that knowledge to industry. Yet most institutions still fall short, and rapid changes in technology, trade, and demographics make the challenge even harder. At the World Bank Group, creating quality jobs is central to our work, and in this context, we partner with government and educating institutions to define and implement reforms and invest more effectively in tertiary education. This is key to expanding opportunity for youth. So we see 3 challenges and potential pathways, to use the title of this conference. First, in South Asia, too many people, especially young women, are not in education, employment, or training need. The share of youth need in the region is 24%, which is higher than the low and middle income average of 22%. But across South Asia, employers report an inadequately educated workforce despite high unemployment. A major reason is the growing mismatch between what students learn and what employers need. Over 25% of unemployed youth hold a university degree, showing a skill mismatch. Early joblessness also has long-term effect on the young person's career. This is not just about jobs in big firms, this is also true for entrepreneurship. Only about 10% of young men with tertiary degree and less than 5% of young women are self-employed. Most young people still need workplace experience, skills, and network before they can succeed as entrepreneurs. So what can be done about this? First is to avoid 3 traps. The first trap would be the input-only one, investing in institutional equipment on faculty without linking them to outcomes, job placement, or overall system performance. Second trap is the training for yesterday's job, preparing students for disappearing job. And the third one is supply push trap, providing market with irrelevant training. We see therefore three shifts as essential. The first one is to build agility for reskilling and upskilling, lifelong learning, and on-the-job learning. The second one is to put employers, to engage employers to codify skills and deliver training. And the third one is to incentivize economies to innovate and build a high-skilled workforce rather than relying on low-skilled production. Second challenge and pathway, the gender gap, which is a really pressing agenda in South Asia. About 1/3 of women in South Asia participate in the labor force compared to 77% of men. This gender gap is one of the largest globally and represents one of the biggest untapped economic potential for the region. Female labor force participation in Bangladesh stands at 38.4%, which means 23.7 million women, compared to 80% for men. Critically, more than 10 million women, nearly half of the female workforce, are engaged in subsistence and own-use production, primarily in agriculture. If female enrollment has increased, it has not led to formal employment. For instance, in Pakistan, half of the higher education enrollment is women. These type of courses, however, are more skewed towards traditional and lower-paid sectors. The majority of young men recently completing tertiary education are out of the workforce or unemployed. They are twice as likely as men to either be out of the workforce or unemployed. But there are solutions and there are opportunities. So, for example, in the Maldives, which has one of the good records, only a quarter of recently graduated women are out of the workforce, the labor force, or unemployed. But this is still 2.7 times higher than men. In India and Pakistan, more than 85% of young tertiary educated women are either out of the labor force or unemployed. In Bangladesh, 66.7 women with tertiary education are not in the labor force. So that gender gap is particularly relevant when young people make the transition from learning to earning. So again, what to do about this? There are many reasons for low female labor force participation, from unsafe travel or workforce for women, child marriage, gender stereotype that may prevent women from seeking certain type of job, or high level of unpaid work responsibility, which disproportionately lands on women. So the response is an approach that combines life skills, entrepreneurship support, care services, transport solution, and digital access, and there is evidence that they consistently improve women labor force participation. Third challenge and pathway, private sector provision and private financing, which can be leveraged more effectively. South Asia is the region with the largest share of enrollment in private institutions, with about half of the students in tertiary education enrolled in such private institutions. Teacher training also, the institutions are often private. In India, more than 90% of pre-service teacher education institutions were privately funded through student fees. The UNESCO Global Monitoring Report 2023 pointed to the lack of sufficient public investment and supply as the key reason for this situation. But with more students completing secondary school, pressure on the tertiary system will only increase. In the last decade, private providers enabled a massive increase in enrollment, but higher out-of-pocket expenses also mean that those with fewer resources are kept out of tertiary education. So the rapid growth of private and online providers amplifies these challenges. What can we do about this? The first element is that private for-profit providers can expand access, but only when government regulates effectively. Quality assurance works when rules are clear, applied to both public and private institutions, and backed by strong agency capacity. This is key to balance greater institutional autonomy with stronger accountability. So to conclude, Honorable Chief Advisor, your presence today shows your commitment to strengthening the tertiary education system in Bangladesh. We are very grateful. By improving tertiary education and aligning it with the need of modern labor market, we can equip our youth with tools and skills that they need to compete in a global economy and have stronger agency. In Bangladesh, through the EAT project, the Higher Education Acceleration and Transformation shown in the video, we are supporting the University Grant Commission to modernize and offer 21st century tertiary education. Let me emphasize that no single actor can solve the challenges facing higher education system. Government with the private sector, businesses need skilled workers. Development partners cannot achieve lasting impact without strong national ownership and leadership. The World Bank is fully committed to building coalition to close the skills gap and unlock human potential as a key path towards quality jobs. So thank you very much again for joining us, and I wish the conference great success, and I look forward to the valuable insight that will come out of this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Prisma, for your valuable reflections and continued partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite another distinguished guest of honor representing the government of Bangladesh, Ms. Rehana Perveen, Secretary, Secondary and Higher Education Division, Ministry of Education, to address the gathering.
Honorable Chief Advisor, respected Chair, special guests, academics, officials, development partners, media persons, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. With deep honor and delight, I would like to thank the University Grants Commission and World Bank funded HEAT project for inviting me to this important gathering of wisdom and purpose. Given our geographical proximity and shared historical and cultural legacy, I believe this conference can serve as a starting point for exploring and harnessing the potentials of quality education in our region. The conference brings together policymakers, academics, researchers, and experts. Thus, it creates a valuable opportunity for meaningful policy dialogue. We hope the sessions will focus on collaborative approaches to education, research, innovation, and accreditation, including mutual recognition arrangements. This will enhance graduates' mobility and employability. Together, we aspire to develop a higher education ecosystem capable of producing a future-ready generation. We want our graduates to be professionally competent, ethically grounded, compassionate, gender responsive, and enriched with wisdom. To achieve this goal, besides national effort, we need regional collaboration and mutual learning. I sincerely hope this conference will come up with the esteemed Dhaka Declaration, outlining practical and actionable strategies of collaboration to sustainably advance higher education in South Asia. I wish the conference every success and look forward to its valuable outcome. Thank you all.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, for your thoughtful remarks and guidance. At this moment, we are honored to invite our special guest, a respected academic and policy leader, Professor Dr. Chaudhry Rafiqul Abrar, Advisor, Ministry of Education, to deliver his speech.
I begin my statement by paying tributes to the martyrs of our glorious War of Liberation of 1971, to those valiant sons and daughters of Bangladesh who made ultimate sacrifice during various democratic struggles before and after 1971, and to the thousands of youth and working people who embraced martyrdom, grievous injury, and blindness to bring an end to the fascist rule of Sheikh Hasina that has transformed us, the ordinary citizens, from being powerless, passive subjects to empowered citizens with rights and dignity. Honorable Chief Advisor, Honorable Chair of the session and Chair of UGC, distinguished delegates, education leaders of South Asia and beyond, esteemed Vice Chancellors of public and private universities, respected academics, researchers, policymakers, and development partners, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege to join you at the South Asian Regional Conference on Higher Education hosted here in Bangladesh. This conference comes at a consequential moment for higher education in our region, and I commend the organizers for convening a forum that is deliberately focused not on abstract discussion, but on pragmatic ideas, policy-driven demonstrations, and actionable collaboration. At stake in this conversation is not simply how higher education grows in South Asia, but how it retains its capacity to generate knowledge, judgment, and public trust while doing so. Higher education in South Asia is changing rapidly. Globalization, technological disruption, demographic pressure, and rising expectations around quality, relevance, and inclusiveness are reshaping what our universities are expected to deliver. Across the region, access has expanded at remarkable speed, opening doors for millions of students, many of them the first in their families to enter higher education. At the same time, advances in artificial intelligence are transforming how knowledge is produced, assessed, and valued. Yet this expansion and technological acceleration have not been matched evenly by growth in research capacity, employability outcomes, AI readiness, governance capability, or international engagement, raising fundamental questions about how universities are organized, supported, and steered. The comparison with East Asia is therefore instructive. While South Asia has made substantial gains in participation, it continues to underperform across several key higher education indicators. This gap is not simply a question of funding. It reflects deeper differences in institutional coordination, governance arrangements, and the ability to convert scale into sustained quality and innovation. This brings us to a difficult but necessary reality. We are asking our universities to be simultaneously inclusive and globally competitive, often before institutional capacity, support systems, and governance frameworks have fully caught up with the scale of expansion. This is not a problem that can be addressed through isolated reforms and aspirational language. It is a structural tension that requires deliberate policy choices, careful sequencing, and sustained institutional learning. How universities are governed in this context, therefore, matters profoundly. Across the world, universities are operating in environments where expertise is increasingly contested. Critical inquiry is sometimes viewed with suspicion, and higher education is expected to align closely with short-term political and instrumental priorities. These pressures are not confined to any one country or region. While accountability is essential, systems that weaken the space for independent thought ultimately weaken their own capacity for innovation, problem solving, and democratic resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, what is striking about South Asia is not the absence of ideas, but the absence of durable regional mechanisms for turning shared challenges into shared solutions. Despite common historical roots and similar socioeconomic contexts, we lack structured platforms for sustained knowledge exchange, coordinated policy dialogue, and long-term institutional cooperation. This is precisely where collaborating among South Asian higher education institutions becomes transformative. Collaboration is not about symbolic partnerships or short-term projects. It is about harmonizing standards where appropriate, enabling mobility of learners and faculty, building joint research capacity, and learning collectively how to govern complex systems at scale. Knowledge does not recognize borders. Innovation does not flourish in isolation. Universities learn best when they learn from one another. This conference is therefore timely in an important way. By prioritizing concept papers, policy demonstrations, and collaborative models over traditional academic presentation, SARC 2026 signals a shift in emphasis from describing problems to designing solutions, from individual excellence to regional capability. Distinguished participants, Bangladesh approaches this moment with ambition, but also with realism. Under the leadership of Honorable Chief Advisor, the government of Bangladesh is committed to modernizing higher education in a way that strengthens quality, relevance, governance, and research capacity while remaining attentive to equity and public purpose. The Higher Education Acceleration and Transformation HEAT project reflects this approach. Its focus on research excellence, digital transformation, outcome-based education, international accreditation, and stronger industry academia linkages is not about rapid reform for its own sake. It is about building institutions that are capable of adapting, learning, and sustaining improvement over time. Hosting this conference allows Bangladesh not only to learn from regional and global experience, but also to contribute its own lessons from managing expansion, leveraging digital platforms, strengthening quality assurance, and aligning higher education with national development priorities. The real test of this conference will not be in the quality of its sessions, but what follows. The partnership that endure, the policy ideas that travel, and the institutional practices that change as a result of shared learning. Over the next 2 days, the concept papers and demonstrations you will see are intended to help translate this shared diagnosis into practical pathways for action. South Asia has the demographic scale, intellectual depth, and youthful energy to shape the future of global higher education. The question before us is not whether the region has potential, but whether we are prepared to invest in the governance, cooperation, and institutional trust required to realize it. Let this conference mark a shift from fragmented reform to coordinated progress, and from isolated success to regional strength. Such progress will be sustainable only if our universities are trusted as institutions of independent thought, credible expertise, and shared public purpose. Before concluding, I express my deep appreciation to the University Grants Commission of Bangladesh, the Higher Education Acceleration and Transformation Project, and the World Bank, and all partners whose vision and commitment have made this important conference possible. I wish the conference productive deliberations and lasting outcome. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Professor Abrar, for your inspiring and visionary address. Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite the chair of the session, Professor Dr. S.M. Faiz, Chairman, University Grants Commission of Bangladesh, to deliver vote of thanks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chief Guest, Nobel Laureate Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus. Honorable Special Guest, Professor Dr. Chaudhry Rafiqul Abrar. Honorable Guest of Honor, the Honorable Advisors present here, Members University Grants Commission, Excellencies, Delegates from SARC, Member States and beyond, Vice Chancellors, policymakers, academics, researchers, development partners, members of the media, dear colleagues and participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It is a matter of profound honor and pride for me to stand before you at the inaugural event of the South Asian Region Conference on the State of Higher Education and Future Pathway 2026. Organized by the Commission with support from the Government of Bangladesh and World Bank funded Higher Education Acceleration and Transformation Project. Let me take this opportunity to mention that Bangladesh today stands at a defining moment in its national journey. The recent history of our country, particularly the events shaped by the courage and aspirations of youth, has reminded us of the transformative power of ideas, integrity, and collective action. For institutions of higher learning, these developments carry profound meaning. Distinguished guests, Bangladesh higher education sector has undergone a remarkable transformation over the past 5 decades. From just 6 universities and 31,000 students in 1972, now we have 177 public and private universities serving over 4.8 million students. The dramatic expansion reflects the nation's unwavering commitment to widening access for its youthful population and harnessing education as a driver of development. However, expansion alone is not sufficient. In the era marked by rapid technological changes, artificial intelligence, global competition for talent, and evolving labor markets, the central challenge before us is ensuring quality, relevance, equity, and global competitiveness. To effectively guide a system comprising 177 universities and millions of learners, the regulatory and coordinating authority must evolve in scope, autonomy, and strategic capability. An empowered University Grounds Commission in the shape of Higher Education Commission that the Honorable Chief Advisor envisioned immediately after taking his present position is no doubt the need of the time. Recognizing this national priority, the Minister of Education has taken time-bound initiatives to transform the University Grounds Commission into a Higher Education Commission. The process of finalizing the legal and institutional framework, including the formulation of the necessary act, is being actively pursued. This transition is envisaged to create a more autonomous, strategically empowered, and globally aligned apex body, capable of steering higher education reform with clarity, consistency, and credibility. Ladies and gentlemen, South Asia is home to one of the world's largest and youngest population. Our countries have historical bonds, cultural diversity, and common development challenges. These shared realities make regional cooperation in higher education not a choice but a necessity. Collective efforts allow us to pool intellectual resources, avoid duplication, share cost, and respond more effectively to global challenges. Through coordinated research and innovation, South Asian countries can enhance their global academic standing while addressing shared socio-economic priorities. Distinguished participants, SARC 2026 reflects the shared vision. Over the next 3 days, the conference will host a series of high-level plenary sessions, thematic panels, policy dialogues, and technical discussions focusing on key areas of concerns for all of us. The outcomes of these discussions will provide strategic direction for Bangladesh and the region, supporting reform aimed at building a modern, resilient, and future-ready higher education system. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to express our deepest gratitude to our Honorable Chief Guest, Nobel Laureate Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus, whose lifelong commitment to social innovation, human dignity, and inclusive development continues to inspire us. His presence today lends immense moral and intellectual weight to this conference. I sincerely thank our Honorable Education Advisor also, Professor Dr. Chaudhry Rafiqul Abrar, for his guidance and steadfast support to higher education reform. I extend heartfelt appreciation to our guests of honor for their continued leadership and partnership in advancing higher education in this region. I also thank the honorable advisors present here, excellencies, foreign delegates, including representatives of SAARC member states, vice chancellors, academics, researchers, development partners, and members of the media for their presence. My special appreciation goes to University Grants Commission family members and to the organizing committee for their tireless efforts in making this conference possible. Dear participants, as we embark in these 3 days of dialogue and deliberations, let us remember that the true success of SAARC 2026 will be measured not only by discussion, but by action, by the partnership we build, the reforms we advance, and the future we shape together. May our collective efforts strengthen our universities, empower our youth, enrich the society, and contribute to the more prosperous, knowledge-driven South Asia. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you, Professor Faiz, for your gracious words. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we have all been waiting for. It is now my distinct honor and privilege to invite our Honorable Chief Guest, Nobel Laureate Professor Dr. Mohammad Yunus, Honorable Chief Advisor, Government of the People's Republic of Bangladesh, to deliver his address at this inaugural ceremony.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I feel very unfortunate that I'm not a participant in this gathering. That I'm treated as an outsider who comes and goes away. Because I always feel I'm part of the community. That's where my life is spent, and my work was shaped, my ideas were developed. I'll be missing out everything that you'll be talking about, which I'm very interested to hear and learn. I want to thank World Bank for organizing this. This was our responsibility to organize, but we failed. World Bank has to step in to make it happen. That way I feel very deprived, very frustrated that we couldn't do it. It was part of our plan, part of our responsibility in the past to organize this as a part of SAARC. SAARC is a word is forgotten. That's a shame on us. This was supposed to be the idea of SAARC, that we get together and make exchanges and learn from each other. For some very difficult to understand reason, we have to stop that. And ever since I has taken the responsibility in the government, I'm repeatedly reminding that we must get back to SAARC. That's where our family belongs to. And I will not give up repeating that appeal to the governance of the region. Today I feel very excited that academics at the highest level could get together in Dhaka. It's important that this is Dhaka. I hope you will have a chance to kind of review the things that happened in Dhaka in the past few months. That will clarify what this university education is all about, or education as a whole is all about. I'm here, my colleagues are here, because something happened in Dhaka. Otherwise, there's no reason for me to be here, for my colleagues to be here. And I thought that would be the core of the subject to be discussed in this gathering. Who are these young people that we are dealing with? They have their own mind. They stood up and raised their voice and brought down the ugliest fascist regime you could ever think of, given their lives. It would be a missed opportunity if you didn't spend some time in understanding what they did a few months back on this very city. What was their expectation? What was their aspirations? Why did they stood up in front of guns and gave their lives? Knowingly, it will happen. And one school student actually wrote a letter to the mother. Mom, forgive me. Dad, forgive me. I'm going to the street, joining my friends. You tried to stop me with a high school kid. You tried to stop me, but I thought again and again. I'm not a coward. My friends are on the street, they are giving their lives. I cannot hide here sitting and hearing about that. Somebody forgive me for that. If I don't come back, please forgive me. So it was not sudden outburst. It's very pre-planned things. I wish you will have some occasion to see the videos of the things that happened in the city of Dhaka. These are not new. It happened in Sri Lanka. It just happened in Nepal. It happened in a big way in Dhaka. So what does education mean? What this university means? What the role of the teachers are all about? So they are the ones standing in front of the students trying to calm them down. Didn't listen. Gave their lives and made it happen. Now it's election time. Election is coming up on 12th of February. The uprising tore apart everything. They created their own charter, July Charter, to undo everything that we are stuck up with. So there will be referendum to adopt what the future constitution of Bangladesh should be like. Because they felt the root of all the trouble is the constitution. You can't go along with that institution. We didn't teach them in the classroom all those things. They're not taking courses on that. So where are we in the university? Who are we talking to? Today, they have formed their own political party. And very soon, on the 13th of February, they will be on the ballots. I'm sure some of them will get elected. They were in our classroom the other day. Now they are on the street, and then they are in the political party of their own. And if they get elected, someone will be the education minister. Tell us the community of educators, what education is all about. What the university education would be like, what it should be. So it's a world of very different kind. So we have to pay attention to what's going on and what is coming up. Old ways of doing things is a self-destructing mechanism. We have to do it quickly, as they have done quickly. July, August, uprising. Now January. This was 24, this is 26. That's it. So this is one issue. I hope this will be taken up seriously in this gathering, in this discussion, where we are, what is being missed, how we can run and be in the front rather than falling behind. So that's the challenge of the day. It's not going away. It will show up again and again unless we fix all the things that we pass on in the name of education. I hope we'll have a chance to invite some of those leaders to come and tell us why they moved from the classroom to the street. And what is their expectation, what is missing in the classroom. So there is no mismatch. Education on one side, young people on the other side. That's no good. So this is an appeal. See if you could look through the videos since you missed out the real happening, but only a few months back, right here on the street. And ask yourself, what does it mean to us as a whole region, not just one country? The other issues that I wanted to share, which I have been formally pursuing as a lone voice, probably, that our education system is wrong. This is a simple point I was making, I keep making. Our education system is job-oriented education. In the back of our mind, that everything we do, we think, if you go through this, if a student goes through this courses, they'll be good enough to take a job. If he or she fails to take a job, we think it's failure on the part of the student, not us. Why do we really design a job-oriented education, that you have to have a degree to go to the job market so that they find you an appropriate candidate. Is this the purpose of education? I'm sure you've gone through many times on a different perspective. How to adapt your syllabus and everything to be appropriate for the market, quote unquote market. My position always has been, human beings are not born as slaves. Each human being is a free person. Job comes from the tradition of slavery. You slave on for somebody. You don't like the job, but you do it because they pay you. That's slavery. My lonely voice saying that human beings are born as a creative being. That's how we survived in this planet, as a creative being. From the very day we are born, we are creative. Even as a baby, we are creative. Creativity is essence of human being. Job is the negation of it. It takes away your creativity. You take orders. That's slavery. These young people who marched on the street, they refused to be slaves, refused to take orders. And that's where the conflict began. So what kind of education that you will be giving? This is a question I raise with you. You may dismiss it. You may pause for a while. But this is my point. Should we continue this education to create slaves? Turning creative being into slaves. That's a criminal job. So I translated that creativity into entrepreneurship. Entrepreneur is a creative being. Why can't we teach entrepreneurs rather than job seekers? Tell young people you're not job seekers, you're job creators. You are agents of change. You create things the way you imagine. Imagination is the essence of human being. We discredit it. We say, no, not imagination. Be practical. Human beings are not born to be practical. They are born with enormous power of imagination. That's what drives them, makes them fall crazy. That's why they gave lives, imagination. They had nothing on the street. They had an imagination. We want to build a new Bangladesh. That's their slogan. And they were committed to it, didn't give up. Older people telling me, no, you go back to school, get some jobs. Uprising is over. Fascist regime disappeared. Now go back. They said, no, we're not going to go back. We came here for a purpose, not just throwing away a regime. We want to create the country in the imagination that we have. As you go around in Dhaka city, you'll be doing probably between sessions or after the sessions. You'll see the walls on the street. Every wall is painted. Still the painting is on. These are not artists. All these young people are not artists. Just the kids from every family. Family is not a rich family. Very mundane, everyday family is struggling with their life. The kid is coming out, having some imagination about what the country should be. That's all. burning idea in them. So while they are fighting on the street, giving their lives, they are painting on the wall. What's wrong with this society? They draw pictures. They are not painters. They have never painted anything before. But this time they did. It's all there. Amazing expressions. You don't have them in your textbooks. They never learn from any poem or anything. Just figured it out, what this is all about. Just I remember one quickly. One writes, there's no substitute. It goes on because there's no alternative. He gives the answer, I am the alternative. Similar thing all over Dhaka city. It's not only Dhaka city, every city in Bangladesh, you go, you see these paintings on the wall. There was no plan, there was no somebody created this little messages. No, everybody figured out their own messages. They just go to the little shop on the street, ask for money. Please give me some money. I want to buy some paint and some brush so that I can paint something on the wall. This is where the money came from. There was no planning authority designing who should do what, nothing. That is the inner creativity every single human being. So education right there on the street. But we refuse to learn. We go back to the books. We write, we learn how to write a good application for a job. That's a mismatch. I hope we could debate and discuss what education should be. Students have not raised that issue yet. They're so busy with the political issues. But someday they will raise that issue. What is education? Why are you teaching this? Who needs it? They will define what the education should be. And we should help them. Because we failed. We failed to help them grow up in their imagination. Make them imagine, make them go for it. Because that's what life is all about. Imagine and make it happen. I hope you'll have a chance to go through this from the videos or even inviting some of them. They will feel awkward because big professor sitting in front of students to listen. They may mumble. They're just like any other kid in your classroom. They're scared of their teachers. But because of the uprising, they may have hardened a little bit. I'm not talking about boys. I'm talking about both boys and girls. You listen to those girls who were pushed in the back of the home. Now they are leading the nation. Same girl. Not a different family. Same girl who are taught again and again, don't do this, don't do this. You're not supposed to do this. She's on the street, speaking out her mind. So you're in the right place and see what it means to our region. Our region is a one totality. It's not pieces that doesn't fit into the picture. It is a one whole picture. We work together. We learn from each other. We are a family. Politicians make them forget that. So we have to rediscover ourselves. Thank you. I'm very happy to be with you. Sorry for all this on-the-spot remarks. I hope it will mean something to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your profound wisdom, inspiring vision, and invaluable guidance for the future of higher education in South Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, now photo session with Honorable Chief Advisor. I humbly request Honorable Chief Advisor and all the guests on the stage to come to the audience and take your seat for the